Hello and welcome on behalf of WICCI West Bengal Sustainable Business Council. I'm Shujata Chatterjee, founder of Social Initiative 12 Store and president of WICCI West Bengal Sustainable Business Council. Today we're here to have a very important and relevant discussion. I have with me sustainability enthusiasts Pauline, Lata and Sahana. They're well-known social entrepreneurs and I'm proud to say they're members of my council. We're living through very uncertain times now. For more than a year, we've been battling a deadly virus. We've faced medical emergencies. We've been limited to our homes, and many of us have lost loved ones. But on top of that, we've also faced nature's wrath. Last year in May, West Bengal was devastated by super cyclone Amphan. And this year again, in the month of May, we've faced the devastation that super cyclone Yas has caused. In view of all this, I keep thinking that is sustainable initiatives essential now? I was a believer that being kind to society and environment was always important, but is it more imperative now than ever before? And with this very thought in mind, I'd like to open the discussion and ask you all, do you think sustainable initiatives is the need of the hour? Pauline, if you could start the discussion.
Thank you, Shujata, for this crucial question. My first thoughts is, I don't think there's any other option that we have but to go even more sustainable today than we were yesterday. And one of the reasons is, I think if nothing at all, this whole COVID-19 crisis, which is not even over and which has been running for now a year and a half, has shed light on the limits that we have as the human species to interact with our environment, and the fact that this kind of relationship is broken. Because if you go back to the premises of the of the crisis, it stems from the fact that we have probably been a bit invasive onto environments that were populated by animals, therefore bringing virus to the human species that may not have been the case if we had, if I may say, respected our boundaries. And I think, as a matter of fact, today, around 75% of new viruses that come to the human species come from wild animals, right? So this is very directly related to sustainability. Now, the second thought, and then I'll leave the floor to Lata and Shahana. The second thought is, if we had built more sustainable and resilient societies socially and environmentally prior to the crisis, we probably would have managed this crisis better. If we had less or reduced social inequalities, probably more and more people, even before the crisis, but more and more people would have had access fairly to healthcare, for example. What this crisis has done is exacerbating problems that were already there. And we were definitely not ready before we were definitely not ready before the crisis, preventively speaking, to respond, to be able to respond to this crisis, because not building socially inclusive and environmentally respectful societies. So these are my first thoughts.
Thank you so much, Pauline. And I'll move on to you, Lata. I know you've been talking about the environment for such a long time, and suddenly it's all hit us that, climate change is not something we talk about anymore. It's something we're feeling in our lives. So, do you think now that we'll become more serious about, sustainable initiatives?
I certainly hope so. I really very, very strongly hope. But at the same time, I'm a little fearful, that human beings are so forgetful. Once the crisis is over, once we are back to our normal lives, normal businesses, we just forget that as a past thing and just move on and get back to life as before. That's my really very strong fear. But I certainly hope that people understand. In the last 1 year, people have understood that there's so much more important than making lots of money. People, I think, have realized in the past few months, when the death rate due to COVID has been so high, that families are more important, our healths are more important. Not only physical health, but emotional and mental health are so important. so many people are going into depressions and, are really falling apart in families, and families are disappearing, leaving children orphans, so many children, orphans without parents. And so much has gone astray. Like Pauline said, that if we had kept boundaries, we would have been better off. Uh, but yes, I hope we still have uh, chances of retrieving, backwards, taking steps backwards so that we can get some hold back on our planet and for a better health and lifestyle for our children.
Thank you so much, Latati. Shahana, where did we go wrong and what can we do to, make it right? Is sustainable initiatives the way forward?
See, Sujata, as Pauline and Lata has rightly pointed out in the different dimensions of what we are going right now, and why sustainability, sustainable lifestyle, sustainability in business, sustainability, each and every aspect of our life is so important. And I also voice the same concern as Lata has voiced. Like today, we are so much concerned. Now, what happens when everything is over and everything we are back to a normal life? Now, the definition of normal over here is also very subjective. So, whatever we thought to be normal is not so normal. Now we realize that it's not so normal. So like we have to embrace lives of our forefathers, like simple ways, like the way we are going in our life. We have to forget that and embrace the life like what our forefathers did. Simple things like bucket bathing instead of shower, being under a shower. And I have seen my grandmother stitching different types of aprons out of used clothes. So this kind of lifestyle we have to go back, one, because at a very micro level, and we have to set an example to our successors that this is normal and this is something which is not out of the way. This is what you have to embrace for the future. And next to that, if you see that in our workplace also, we value more of human, how much profit they are bringing to business. But if we value the human being, their well-being, 360-degree well-being, the business will automatically come. So we actually have turned ourselves upside down. So in my opinion, let us value human being more rather than valuing that how much profit they can earn for the company. So because we know all human resource is the most important resource. So in that way, in our sustainability in terms of business also, we have in our workplace, we have to value those certain types of incentives and certain types of initiatives we have to take. And it's a huge big subject. Like every drop can create an ocean, as we say. So let us set an example by ourselves and influence others to follow those kind of lifestyles, those kind of ways, so that we can embrace a world which is much more better. I know that sometimes it sounds like an utopia, but let's dream about that and let's practice to some extent some of the ways so that we can catch up to that. People, I think, is the most important part of the society. So we should value people in a way like giving equity to them, right kind of equity, because one of the most important pillar of sustainability is equity. As Pauline said, equity in terms of health, where we are heading towards. So do we have those kind of equity in terms of health? So that's a big question which has arisen right now. So we have to think in those terms, what we have, how much we can share with others. So if there is a sharing attitude with each other, it will percolate down to the bottom of the society. So in that way, I think we can give right kind of equity to each and everyone and bring forth much of a sustainable way of living. That's what I can say.
If I can add, bouncing on what just Shahana just said, I'd like to think that this crisis is an opportunity as well, in a couple of fronts. The first one is because so many things have been destroyed, especially human health during this COVID-19 crisis, and also in terms of economic opportunities and jobs, as all of you know, there's a huge opportunity to rebuild more meaningfully. Where have we gone wrong? Let's think about that. Let's start with a clean slate and think about the ways to have a more equitable society, a more environmentally respectful society, now that we have gone to the bottom of it, really. So that's the first thought. And then the second one is, one of the things that I've observed, especially during this crisis, is that because the virus has hit all countries, all parts of societies alike, without any discrimination, I think we're all able to connect maybe at a slightly deeper level, and hopefully being able to further collaborate and work together and show an overall level of empathy and understanding that might have increased compared to earlier. And this is something that I really tangibly can feel. There's a lot of collaborative initiatives, a lot of relief action that is collaboratively done with a lot of citizens. The entrepreneurs of Kolkata, that has been the group that has been created for this second wave in India, that has been very aggressive, is one good example. There are networks that are creating at the local and national and international level, be it WICCI, be it Catalyst 2030, all of these big networks that are trying to gather momentum and to gather organizations to get to know each other and work together for change to happen, hopefully at an accelerated pace, because we definitely need rebuilding, and we need to rebuild meaningfully, and together.
Yeah, what encourages me all the more today, I've been in this field of sustainability for the last 6 odd years, and I see more and more players coming in the front of this whole area of sustainability, and talking about it, and more people think that change is required, and individually they must change. Whether they change or not is a second step to it, but at least people have started to think that it is important to change, and maybe respect the plant world, respect the animal world, and live together in this planet, because every species of living creature on this earth has its rightful space, and we must respect that, and give each other that space.
Thank you so much. I think, everything you mentioned is so relevant, and I am very proud to say that I know every member of our council is working towards this, is working towards, a better future. And I'll also mention that even in this, difficult times, each of us individually, I know we're involved in a lot of initiatives. We're trying to do a lot, even if in a small way, but to make a difference. And that is so important. Please do, see a video that we have also compiled, where we are talking about the various initiatives that our council members have also taken. And this is exactly, I think, what we want to see all the people around us also do. Make a difference, even if in a small way, make a difference in the circle, that we are in. But, I just say a small thing, taking off from what Latadi mentioned, that, by seeing what we have all around us, it's also very natural to feel depressed as individuals, but we are also organization heads. So what is it that we can do to keep ourselves positive and to uplift our thoughts and be focused on this journey of sustainability, even in this times of uncertainty? What can we do, Latadi, to stay positive?
Stay positive, you have to stay positive. That's a cliche, but
I think that's a perfect answer.
The main thing, Sujata, I feel that we have to understand how fortunate we are. We have to understand how privileged we are, how much we have got, how much more we have got than so many people around us. We start looking at mostly what happens, we start looking at people who have more than us, and we feel that we don't have enough. But let's look at the people who are less fortunate than us, and only then can we understand, how blessed we are and how much more we can do for others who don't have so much. And in this time of crisis, I can say that, I mean, I had a very, very personal loss last year. Soon after that, we went into COVID situation, and I had a business to run and salaries to pay without any income. Um, yeah, but they are our responsibility. We must understand people who are employed under us. They are our responsibilities, and we must look after them as family. We must see that everyone gets their share of well-being. That is what is important. And when we start looking at others and thinking of others and how we can help others, that is what I feel makes me positive, at least keeps me positive. That helping, reach out with your helping hand
Thank you, Lata.
gives you.
Very rightly said. Pauline, you work with, I know, many organizations. So, your network is probably even bigger. It's not just directly, the people in your organization, but your partner organizations also. So, how do you keep yourself positive, or how do you spread, the wave of positivity to all your partners along the way?
So a couple of thoughts on this. First, personally, I think that being driven in such a way that you get your brain and your hands busy on a daily basis, keeping yourself busy and occupied throughout, especially positively, to try and help out as much as you can the community that you're in touch with, is a great way to not completely fall at the bottom of it, because you just keep busy and you don't hesitate and you don't spend time trying to overthink the situation, and you just keep focusing on your work. So for this for me has been one of the ways to cope. Of course, there are days that I'm down like everyone, and I feel like when you are leading an organization or part of a community, it's also important to embrace, to acknowledge, and be able to talk about the fact that it's sometimes difficult. And I think to a certain extent, our ability to say, you know what, today I'm down, I'm sad, I'm not having a good day, I have XYZ problems, is one of the ways we can further connect at a deeper level with people. So I wouldn't say, let's try to, hide our emotions. I think there's a lot of positivity in sharing deep feelings like that as well. And third, whenever you want to get back on the wave and get back on track, I think, it's all a matter of perspective. That is to say, you're really one thought away from looking at the situation from another spectrum. So for example, you can go relatively easily from, oh, I'm stuck at home, to, oh, yay, I have more time and I can see my family a bit more. In the same way, each and every situation can be seen from the, oh, I'm sad aspect, to the, oh, this is actually a great opportunity to start afresh or start something new or
Shana, I know you for one are super busy. How is it? Where do you get this energy from? And where, more importantly, do you get the mental strength from to, keep on doing this every single day? What keeps you positive?
See, talking about mental strength, I must say that all the women friends that I have around me, so I think they are my mental strength. And also, like, I connect with lot of people at the grassroots level. I see how they are surviving, the passion for their life to survive. That gives me the mental strength also. So that makes me feel that how privileged I am, as you know, Latadi and Pauline were saying that we are much more privileged looking at the grassroots people, how they're surviving. So that gives an immense amount of, mental strength that if I am down, so if I see someone toiling so hard for a daily living, so I ask myself, am I not too luxurious to say that I'm down? So that gives mental strength, that gives a boost to myself, that what I am doing is I'm just a catalyst to do all these things. So I just can give a small examples actually. So I have few of my students who have got educational sponsorship and who are now working at different places. Uh, I have few students who are medical students. They have passed out this year only, and now they are placed in the COVID ward in Medical College and RG Corps. And young students, how they are fighting with the patients, they have a huge responsibility right now, as we all know. But they took up some time to come to our office before the lockdown, and they volunteered to tell me that what can we do for the organization who has supported us, and as a doctor, how can we support the medical camps or the medical teams that goes inside the rural areas. So I think these kind of positive reinforcements are very essential, are the tonics in our life to book which keeps us going. So this is an example which I can cite. And yeah, and next to that, as you are talking about our personal passion and all, so we have ample amount of time when we are in a lockdown situation, which when we cannot move out of our houses. So basically I'm a workaholic and I cannot stay at my home confined. It gives me a lot of, I become very claustrophobic. So that's a problem. So I go up to my terrace, look around and see if there is anyone, start talking with them. So now I have a garden in my terrace, as all of us has, and I have a passion for plants. One day I was talking to our next door neighbor and they don't have any plants. So I said, why don't you take some of my plants to your terrace? Let us distribute the plants and make each other's place a little bit more beautiful. So once I have gifted her with some plants, next day she went somewhere, some nursery, bought some plants and also some plants for me. So I think I have been able to inflict her with a passion of growing plants on the terrace. So I think that's one positive aspect of the whole story that I think I'm very personally proud.
Thank you so much, Shana. And this just proves how in sync we are as council members, because I was just going to ask that, in the midst of all the depressing stories we have around us, there must be some seeds of hope. There must be, some positive stories. And even without me asking you, sort of shared a story, and, that makes certainly, uplifted my feelings right now. But I'll come to you, Pauline and Lata. Do you have, a positive story that you can share that will certainly help people through these difficult times?
Uh, Beginning of this month, uh, I let out my first store to Ubuntu people. So they're living in my premises, and we are like family. And we started a project called Meal to Heal for COVID patients and their families. And what we were doing was very small. We was making food for 50 people and distributing to uh, these Swiggy genies and motors. But what hit me more positive, I mean, as more positive was so many people connected with us, housewives and simple people, uh, and they wanted to come out and help. They asked us how we can help. So what we started was a connect, where my daughter also joined in, and we connected, the family COVID families to these home cooks, according to the locality they were living in. And it was such a beautiful feeling that, they also felt that they were a part of the team, they were part of helping out others, in a small way, maybe individually, which they could not have done. So that was one very positive story. And Sujata, it's the way you look at the world. You can see the darkest side, and you can see the most beautiful side of the world, depending on your what you want to see it. So there are so many positive stories happening. Yes, there are deaths and there are sickness all around. Definitely, there is a lot of misery. But at the same time, you see people coming together, organizing oxygen for people, others, organizing beds, organizing hospitals, helping patients, and yeah, you see people coming together and coming out, and helping each other in need. That's the greatest positive story of the day, I think.
Absolutely, Lata. Pauline?
Yeah, I mean, there has been, as I was saying earlier, it was the opportunity to open new doors in many different aspects. Maybe personally speaking, one of the positive stories is since the very beginning of the first lockdown, actually, I started taking a few singing classes, and we started with my partners. We started with my partner, we started to sing on a regular basis on Sundays, and especially songs in Bengali. So I also got to improve a little bit in learning this language. And this is true. This is something that I never took time, or we never took time to create as memories together or moments together, because time and the schedules were just too busy to think about it. And on the more professional front, just like Lata said, many initiatives collaboratively showed how much togetherness we can actually embrace. One of the things that I was mentioning earlier is the Entrepreneurs of Kolkata initiative, which started literally at the beginning of the second wave, and in 15 days managed to gather around a bit more than 7 crores coming from, you know, national to international also horizons, and helping increase the especially ICU beds capacity and ventilators and oxygen in hospitals. And to me, that's unprecedented. The kind of togetherness, and okay, we don't know each other, but you know what, let's work together because we have this very, very specific short-term objective to follow together. Let's do it together. So that was one out of the many examples of positive stories that happened in the end. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Share my, a small story from my own, just because I want everyone to know that there is always, a rainbow at the end of the road. I myself was COVID positive in April, and then I developed further complications, and there was a particular, a phase of time when I couldn't speak at all, and I was unable to get up, and we were very uncertain which way things were moving. But I'm blessed and I'm extremely fortunate, and I'm extremely happy to say here I am, being part of this discussion today. And not only that, I'm again able to work hands-on to benefit the less advantaged. And I just shared this small example with you because I understand that the road that we are all walking on, it's a very difficult road. But we have to believe that, together we can get over this, steep road and reach a happier place. So let us all believe in this, and, let us make sustainability the motto of our lives. And let us believe that sustainable initiatives can lead us to a better and brighter future.
Bona bidana